$1.4 billion. That's how much Americans were expected to wager on this year's Super Bowl, up more than 11% from last year. And that's not even the fastest growing category for casinos. Here to share more about the growth in the global gambling industry is Zoran Milosevic, the CEO of Meridianbet, a global online sports betting and gaming firm. Zoran, so great to have you here today. The Super Bowl just wrapped up, and what a crazy weekend to be a part of the gambling industry.
This is like one of the biggest events in when it comes to sports betting segment by far, and this is always, especially companies that are targeting U.S. market. This is the biggest event ever.
Yeah, that's a huge weekend for sports betting, but it's more than just this weekend. There's really been a big increase in gambling on sports all over the world for a while now. I know your company, Meridianbet, is now a part of the Golden Matrix Group, which is one of the largest online gambling companies across the globe. So you have so much knowledge to share. So let's just start with overall growth in the sports betting sector. We've heard a lot about that in the US, of just a big increase in demand in sports betting. Is that what we're continuing to see in 2025?
Yes. So this is actually a great question, and the most important thing is how we see it is that the best days of sports betting are yet to come. In general, in gambling, not just sports betting, but sports betting is always leading the way, because what the regulators always try to regulate first is sports betting. Then casino and everything follows, only because sports betting is known to everyone. So you don't need to really to explain to any politician around the world what sports betting. It's regulated in Europe in some countries for over 70 years, like in UK. It was regulated in 1950s.
Yeah, I think Europe is unique in that long-standing regulations in place. For a lot of other countries, regulations on sports betting is really new, including the US. Our federal policy didn't actually get started until 2019.
Actually, the biggest event in sports betting industry in its history was regulation in US. So all the countries which are following the US in terms of regulation are just doing more or less the same. And we see this reflection everywhere in the world, wherever we go. So Latin America was before that almost completely closed. In terms of regulation, now you have regulations more or less everywhere. You have in Canada, you have in Brazil just opened, Peru, Colombia, Mexico. So everything is working fine, and more countries are announcing to be opened. And what we expect, and that is why we are excited, and I'm very big optimist when it comes to our business. We actually just see announcement in Asia. And Asia is 2/3 of the world's population. So we have some announcements in India, Japan, and it's slowly starting. Since you get announcement from one country that it will regulate gambling or sports betting, it takes 5 to 6 years until this to happen. So we think that next 25 years, considering the speed of development of the business in Europe, US, Africa, next 25 years will be just the years of growth, decades of growth when it comes to our business. And as I said, first, every regulation starts with sports betting, because it's known, it's considered as a light form of gambling, and then casino, online casino, and everything follows.
So it sounds like sports betting is leading the way for regulations across the globe. But looking at some of the data with Golden Matrix, it doesn't necessarily look like sports betting is the biggest growth leader for your company.
The biggest growth we see is in casinos. That's like double digit somewhere, in some territories even triple digit growth still. Then raffle business follows, and then sports betting. So sports betting is fighting with like 10-15% growth. It's because of younger generations. It's basically younger generations tend to gamble on casinos only because they want to see outcome fast. One soccer match or NFL match is like 3 to 4 hours, and nobody wants to wait 4 hours to actually, when it comes to young generations, to see the outcome. They just want a lot of money fast, yesterday if it's possible. And that is the reason of the growth of online casino segment, and that is like continuing all the time. And also we need to be aware younger generations are coming from gaming, and that is where they form their first interaction with digital devices, is by playing some games. And as long as they see on the other side something what relates to that, they will actually participate much more easier than something than like sports. The last 3 years, 85% of all new registrations, all new registered customers, 85% of the money goes to casino, 10%, 15% to sports. That's the trend.
That's very interesting. Also interesting to hear that your younger demographics are gravitating more towards the casinos. What does that mean as far as the industry across the globe? Are you seeing more new casinos going up, just more investment in what's already there? What does that growth look like specifically in the casino market?
Just everything what you mentioned, and I'm actually quite shocked how this segment is booming. Up to 5, 6 years ago, up to Corona, you had like 5 players in the world and maybe 50 medium-sized, 100 small. But let's say maybe 10 operators made 90% of the business to everyone. And I thought I knew everyone in that world. But after Corona, believe me, that segment just exploded. You have more and more players. Let's say the top 3 biggest companies in online casino segment didn't exist 10 years ago. And the amounts of money which they are making are like bigger than what old generation of these companies, actually the companies that were the biggest before Corona, couldn't imagine. And that is the reason. The reason for that is actually what I told you, that regulations are just spreading. We have just more and more countries opening. And we were all competing for 6% of the population in Europe. Now we are almost 30% of the population, not 30, but 25, let's say, has access to the regulated market, and we have 2/3 more to go. You see a lot of games that are actually look like the games that kids are playing at home, so that they relate to the new generations much more. Excellent graphics, excellent optimizations, a lot of AI functionalities built in. So this AI craziness, which is happening everywhere, it's happening in the gaming industry as well.
Yeah, on this channel, we talk a lot about companies finding success when they can use how to have some practical applications for AI. And this definitely sounds like that example. Check out some of our other videos where we talk about just that, practical AI companies finding success. You'll also find those companies on our list of 10 best AI stocks to invest in 2025. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description of this video to get that free report on MarketBeat.com. Zoran, with so much growth in the online gambling sector, it's no surprise that these new companies you're seeing aren't necessarily building casinos all over the place. It's all more tech companies that are building apps, right? I know your company has plenty of retail space out there, but really your company Meridianbet has always been a little ahead of the curve for developing AI for the gambling industry.
Since day one, we have been technology companies. So we were making technology for sports betting in the beginning. We were coding our own software since day one. We control the technology, so we started to deliver our sports betting solution at the time to other providers, to whoever was interested, and that business exploded, and that is actually how Meridian became big company. And at some point, we were delivering our services in 35, 36 jurisdictions worldwide. And over the time, we turned the business more into B2C. So today, our business is like 85% B2C, 15% B2B. But in the past, when we started, it was B2B dominantly. And that is how we actually managed to scale. That's the best way to scale, is to basically deliver services, or concretely in our case, it was real franchise. So we were delivering sports betting franchise, and to describe to your audience on most simply way is we are McDonald's for sports betting. So and general gambling. If you want to have your turnkey solution when it comes to sports betting, call us for the best service out there.
Zoran, you shared some great information for investors to consider about investing in the gambling industry as a whole. But I want to talk about your company specifically a little bit. What are some things potential investors should know?
Look, obviously I'm bullish on my company. That's the best company in the world by far. Stock currently is heavily undervalued, so I'm inviting everyone obviously to think and make proper analysis and make its own decision. Me myself, I'm all in Meridian. I don't do anything beside it, and I really think it's the best company in the world. Uh, when it comes to our competitors, I cannot tell anything about it. But gaming, as I said, and gambling in general, it's just booming. So whoever is out there intends to be next 25 years, this will be massive companies, no doubt about it. And the old days, I really can understand the people from the old days that consider that this business is risky because it was. Most of it was not regulated in a gray area and so on. It's not like that anymore. So these are businesses like any others. They're run by management like any other, and massive business with a lot of tech involved. Actually, not regulated. They're heavily regulated, especially in Europe. Heavy regulations means some forms of security as well. I don't see heavy regulation is something from investment point of view that is unsecure. Heavy regulation means less competitors and less obligation by the operator, by from the government as well. I can understand, especially in the new markets like US. US regulated this last 5 years. You have many investment funds and which, by their policy, don't invest in gambling. Totally get it, but I also think that these policies are just legacy of the past, nothing else.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your wealth of knowledge in the gambling industry. It's great information for our investors. I hope you enjoy this video and check out some of the others on our channel too. We profile a lot of different industries just like this. Thanks again for joining us today, everyone. And as always, happy investing.